All right, family. We black again. We got a powerful presentation. We're gonna be talking about the three wise magicians from Cushite, Chaldea. We are talking about the three wise men that who traveled from the east to worship the child Messiah, the one they call Jesus, the one they call Yahshua, the one they call Emmanuel. And I want people to understand that, in these stories is a lot of esoterical information. It ain't always to be accepted literally. A lot of people. So you have to sometimes peel back, the two or three layers to get to the truth. You have to pull back two or three layers to get to the truth. But here I'm dealing with the fact that when you get to dealing with these personages, you see who truly connected to the personage outside of what people are trying to tell you. Okay. And that's just like, the one they call Yahshua, the one they call Jesus, the one they call Emmanuel, came after the order of Melchisedec, the African high priest, king of Salem, king of righteousness, king of peace. You see, the one who brought forth the ritual of wine and bread, he is the one that initiated Abraham, who initiated Abram. He wasn't Abraham. He was Abram. And Melchizedek initiated him. And then after Melchizedek initiated Abram, he became Abraham. You see, and you see the Ham is a connection to the African. The Ham is a connection to the patriarch of the African tribes, symbolically ancient Egypt, Cush, you see, that the Canaanite, the Salem is Jerusalem. So Melchizedek was the king of Jerusalem. You see, and this, the one that they call Jesus, Yahshua, Emmanuel, Heru, Osiris, you see, came in the order of Melchizedek. Mel meaning melanin, and if you spell Salem backwards, you get Melis, which is also Greek for black. Okay, so we understand we getting to the root of what this story is trying to say. But another thing that has always, even since a young child, a young prodigy child, in studying these scriptures, that the three wise men coming from the east, prolific. Now, they are prolific in the scriptures. They are more prolific in the scriptures than even the rabbis of Israel. That's why we got to look into what scriptures, because somebody got access to some scriptures outside of the ones. That's right. Somebody got some access to some scriptures outside of the ones, you reading every day or every Sunday when you go to the church. You see, I always ask the question, how did these magicians from the east become so prolific in knowing when the Jewish Messiah would be born? Or was he the Jewish Messiah? That's very interesting. You see, because these three wise men were the first to acknowledge that Jesus had been born. Okay? They were the first ones to acknowledge that he had been born. Now, so they say the East, they don't tell you where they came from. Even though I personally, we talking about frankincense and myrrh, and we're talking about astrology because these magicians were very advanced in astrology. they knew that this star was connected to the birth of the Messiah. While the rabbis in Jerusalem, they were still dumbfounded until the three wise men, come to Jerusalem and they ask, where is he who was born, you say, King of Jews? And they acted dumbfounded because they didn't have the astrological knowledge. They didn't, if they did, they were ignorant. They didn't know. But the magi, which is the magicians, they knew the knowledge. They knew the astrological knowledge, and they knew the scripture that saying that the star would first, the star that when it lines up, you would know that the Messiah had been born. So they came from the east. Okay, they came from the east. Matter of fact, we have it right here. Matthew 2, 1 through 2. Now, after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, where is he who has been born King of Jews? For we saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him. Now, how did they know? How did they master the knowledge above and beyond anybody in the state of Israel? How is that possible? They more prolific in the prophecy than the rabbis of Israel. You see? And so it says Matthew 2:7, it says, then Herod summoned the wise men secretly and ascertained from them what time the star had appeared, because they didn't even know the damn star had appeared. They didn't even know. They didn't even know. You hear that? It says that then Herod summoned the wise men secretly and had ascertained from them what time the star had appeared. So here it is. This is supposed to be the Jewish Messiah. And they have no knowledge of the scripture. Y'all better wake up, man. Y'all better wake up. And so you see Matthew 2:11, and it says, and going into the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they fell down and worshiped him. Y'all have to understand. Now, first and foremost, these are what they call the Chaldeans. These are the Babylonians. We're not talking about the Neanderthals of the day. No, sir. Those are not the original Babylonian Chaldean. We talking about Nimrod the Cushite. So that right there going to take you where you need to go. And I'll black that up if you need that. You see, so it says Matthew 2:11, and going into the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they fell down and worshiped him. Now, these Cushite Chaldeans, Babylonians of Nimrod, the Ethiopian, son of Ethiopia, son of Cush, founder of Mesopotamia, including Chaldea, we'll black that up without no problem, were the first people to worship Jesus in the book. The very first people to worship Jesus in the book was these Cushite Chaldeans that had came from the east. Not no rabbis, not no Jews, not no Hebrews, no Israelites, none of that. The first people to worship, the one y'all, Yahshua, Emmanuel, Jesus, was these three magicians that had come from the east. And it says, then opening their treasures, they offer him gifts, gold and frankincense and myrrh. And we know that frankincense and myrrh is primarily, we talking about the potent. Now y'all could take it and cut it and you know, a lot of y'all take it and grow it other places like they do papyrus, but the potent come up out of Sudan, it come up out of Ethiopia, and it come out of Southern Arabia. It come out of southern Arabia, Arabia Felix. So, they were of that Arabian Mesopotamian a bloodline, Cushite bloodline. You see, coming from the east. Okay, and so that's another indicator that they were of the Cushite bloodline. Okay, and they was astrologers, and the Chaldeans were much, as many of the books that I read from the African Senate community say that the Chaldeans were of one of the ancient lodges of the Nile Valley that was established over in that area. You see, or that astrology, and it says that now Daniel 2, chapter 2, verse 2, it says, then the king commanded that the magicians, the enchanters, the sorcerers, and the Chaldeans be summoned to tell the king his dreams. And so they came and stood before the king. So we understand that the Chaldeans are also magicians, magi. That's where you get the term magi. You see, enchanters, and they got the sacred sciences, and that's what the people gonna call it because it's so powerful that the Egyptian magicians matched God, and when they dueled with Moses, some of the Egyptians, even in the book of the Bible, matched God. You see, Jeremiah 6:20 says, what use to me is frankincense that comes from Sheba, or sweet cane from a distant land. So in Jeremiah 6:20, they recognize that the sweet, potent frankincense comes from Sheba. You see what I'm saying? Comes from Sheba. And so so we can make the correlation that we know that the Chaldeans are Cushites, Ethiopians. You see, it's Jeremiah 51:35. It says, the violence done to me and to my kinsmen be upon Babylon. Let the inhabitant of Zion say, my blood be upon the inhabitants of Chaldea. Let Jerusalem say. So one sentence is Babylon. The other sentence is Chaldea. It's interchangeable because Chaldea was the southern portion of Babylon. Okay, it was the southern district of Babylon. Jeremiah 51:24 said, I will repay Babylon and all the inhabitants of Chaldea. Now let's make it make sense. Let's make it make sense. Where's Nimrod at? And it says, let me get the one with Nimrod. Let's get the one with Nimrod, so we can make it make sense. Is this all Kush? I think it is. Let me see. So you understand that Nimrod is the father of Babylon. And that's why they dog it the way they do. That's why they dog it the way they do. There it is right there. Genesis 10:8-11. It says right there, Cush, Ethiopia, fathered Nimrod. He was the first one on earth to be a mighty man. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Therefore, it is said, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord, the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, which is Babylon, Erech, Akkad, you see, and Calne, which is Nimrod, in the land of Shinar. From that land, he went into Assyria. Even in that, he went into Assyria. So all of Mesopotamia is the land of Nimrod. So that's we making that clear. You see, so what are we establishing here? That it seems to be, see, he's outside of that Judean, the priesthood of Levi. He's not coming in that order. He coming from an African order. The Melchisedec is African order. Why is this so-called Jewish Messiah? Is he really Jewish? You know, he's over here with the, you know, and I don't know of anybody else outside of Jesus that was in the order of Melchizedek. He's the only one that seemed to have to that, and that he went into Egypt. You see, and then there's 18 years of his life missing, and many ancient books say that he was in Egypt being trained in the mystery system. And then when he came out, and they say, you know, even when he was young, the time that he had spent in Egypt, even when he was young, when he was 12 years old, when he came back to Jerusalem, when he came back, he was already, you know, putting the rabbis in a headlock at 12 years old, coming up out of Egypt. You see? So he had a connection outside of what they was talking about. You see, he came, you know, and that's what most of these, you start dealing with the occult books, they're going to tell you that he was in Egypt. You see, he was in Egypt. He was dealing with something above and beyond. And them brothers and sisters coming up out of the, you know, the mystery system was blowing people's mind, you know, and they, you know, and people get nervous when you come in there with that potent information like that. And you know, and you knocking down they paper, you knocking down their power. You see what I'm saying? You knocking down their power. So those three instances with Melchizedek, you know, Jesus coming after the order of Melchizedek, and then these magicians mysteriously pop up. And really, I'm going to tell y'all this. You know, Matthew 2:13-23. Now, when they had departed, wait a minute, no, let me get in there. What happened was, you know, Herod told the magi, when you find the boy, when you find the baby, come back and let me know where he at. Because they was going to kill him. They was going to kill Jesus, Herod. And so I don't know if they knew it from the very beginning, but he said, when you find the baby, come back and let me know so I could come and worship him. You see? So I could come and worship him. But after they found the family, the Holy Family, and you know, they worshiped and gave gifts, God came to the magi in a dream and told them, don't go back to Herod, and told them to depart and go to the, you know, go back to their country another way. But see, I'm going to show you how these lodges, these mystery schools is all connected. The African, you know, the Chaldean, the Babylonian, you know, just like George M. James was talking about in a lot of other books. They saying that all of these was African lodges in the various Cushite nations, you know, and so, you know, but you know, they don't say this in the book, but I'm going to tell you that the magi, you know, if they come to worship this boy, they going to look out for him. So if this God, now this God could be a personage. Don't get caught up in that. Don't get caught up in that. Somebody said something. Look, Herod seeking to kill the young boy. You see? So you think they're going to leave out of there and don't let Joseph and Mary know? Look, they trying to take the young boy out. They trying to take the young boy out. So you know what the magi told Joseph and Mary? Told Joseph, take that boy into Egypt. That's what they told him. Take that boy into Egypt. We going to go this way. They're going to try to follow us. So you can't come with us. But we've already talked to the brotherhood, and they know what's going on. So you gonna know, I'm gonna let you know where you can go. And when you go there, they gonna look out for you. So when you go in the book, it says Matthew 2:13-23. Now, when they had departed, who? The magi. Listen. Now, when they had departed, behold, an angel of the Lord, that's esoterical, appeared to Joseph in a dream and said, rise, take the child and his mother and flee into Egypt. See? So when they departed, you think they just gonna up and leave and not give them the, you drop the information that Herod, and so the magi is the ones that had that's the brotherhood, African brotherhood from Egypt all the way over to southern Arabia, up into Babylon, over into ancient Persia, which they call Elam. All of that is Cushite at that time. You see, the brotherhood is still strong at that time. You see, and they say, go on over there. And when you get there, go here, and they're going to take care of you. And that's what happened. And he rose and took the child and his mother by night and departed to Egypt and remained there until the death of Herod. This was to fulfill what the Lord has by the prophet, out of Egypt I have called my son. See, we got to go into the esoterical understanding that this is us. They keep talking about all this Jewish and all of this. No, this is Cushite Egyptian. That's really what and you got a lot of spiritual slander on this to try to, divert you from the real source of wisdom and knowledge in the book. But truly, the real source of wisdom and knowledge in the book is still Cushite, Egyptian, Canaanite, African. It's still the primary source of spirituality in the book. Is no longer up for debate, never was. And so this is an esoterical story. This is for people I know. They say, oh, Seti, he early this year for Christmas. Isn't it here talking about the three wise men? But even that is as astrology. You'll see the three stars of Orion's belt, pointing to Sirius. But that's another story for another time. The three stars of Orion's belt pointing to the star Sirius. You see, but that's another story for another time, and we'll get into that. But anyway, family, I appreciate y'all, man. We had a nice day. We're gonna come back tomorrow. We're gonna get them now. We're gonna get them. We're using it, we peeling it back. We're gonna use it, and so that we can get the peoples across the bridge. Appreciate you. You know what I do. Make sure you get over there to Patreon. We got powerful presentation over there for you. Who is the real Jew? We breaking this down for you, and I'll see y'all real soon. Arm yourself with knowledge. Bang on that wicked beast daily. Liberation through African education and confrontation. Boom. Black power.